friends. I just decided to do something, I don't know, it's probably been done before, but I thought I have lots of envelopes, and a lot of times I coffee dye them and do different things with them, but I thought I have a bunch of napkins, why don't I combine the two? So I thought I would just turn on the camera. I haven't done this before, so we'll see what happens. So I have a napkin here in an envelope. I'm just going to take the excess layers off of the back here. If you've never done that before, it's really easy with this. Just take a little piece of Scotch tape and stick it to the back layer, and the back layer just automatically rips. Well, that one's not sticky enough anymore. Use a different one. And then you can get in there and take that layer off. You usually just want one layer with this. Some napkins are 2 layers, some are 3. You can kind of tell when you're at the bottom layer, it's pretty thin. So what I'm just going to do is I have some watered down just white glue here. So I'm just going to put a bit on the bottom of the envelope here, and then stick my napkin on. I think it's easier if you don't put the whole thing full of glue right away. And then I'll just flip it back and put some more glue. This is kind of a gloppy glue. This is just a Dollar Tree glue. But I'm finding it's a little bit gloppy, which works fine for this. So I'll just do that, and this part as well. It's okay if it gets a few wrinkles in it. And then I'll just do a rough trim around the edges. I'm planning to sew these when I'm finished, so I'll show you what that looks like. So most of the time this glue pretty much soaks through, but I like to add just a little bit more at the top here just to make sure it's nice and sealed. I got a little bit of a hole there. That's okay. It's all good. This is junk journal stuff. So I guess the moral is use a little bit of be with a gentle touch here. So this is kind of a rough paintbrush too. Okay, so that's what it looks like. I didn't put anything on the other side, so I'm just going to set that aside to dry. And I'm going to make one more on camera, and then I'm going to make probably a few more. This is a big pink envelope that I have, and I thought that would be nice with this napkin. So again, I'll take off the back layer here. And I think there might be another layer here. Let's see. Yeah, but it's being stubborn here. There we go. I suppose you could leave one of the layers on. It would make it a little bit more sturdy on the envelope. So maybe it wouldn't rip as easily when you're gluing it, but I kind of like the translucent way that it looks when you just have one layer, even though there's really nothing on the envelope to see underneath. Although that would be an idea too, just to make put a little bit of script or something underneath. That would look kind of cool. So again, I'm just going to do a bit of a rough cut here. You can do this before or after you glue, whichever, doesn't really matter. Whatever's easiest. There, and I'll just put the rest the glue on. Sometimes it's nice just to play with things that you have on hand that you don't really have a purpose for at this point, and it's, you know, no pressure. You just kind of make a few things, and it's nice in the end when you have those things, you can just grab them and stick them in your journals and they're ready to go. So again, just a little bit of a light coat on the top here. It does soak through, so I'm not really even sure if this is necessary, but it gives it a little bit more stability, I guess, afterwards. I like the pink showing through on this napkin, the pink of the envelope. That looks good. And I do like my pink, so I usually end up having pink journals more often than not, so this will be good for me. All right, so I'll just put this one aside to dry. Again, the bottom is just plain like that. I didn't do anything to the bottom. And I'll put this one aside to dry, and in a couple of minutes I'll show you what the next step is. Okay, so they're nice and dry. I waited overnight, and they look really good. I'm going to trim the edges and sew around the edges, and then I'll show you what that looks like. I kept going after I didn't want to stop, so I made several more. So this is a great way to use your napkins. You know, any of these napkins, different sized envelopes. Yeah, just a really neat accent that will work well in your journal. So I'll be back and show you what the sewing looks like in a minute. So here's the envelopes all sewn up, sewed around, just around the perimeter there, and this one as well. And these can be used for, you know, many different purposes. I did this one purposely in this orientation because I thought that I would sew it into a signature in a journal. So it would be in this orientation, and I would just sew this in with the journal signature there. And then when this is there, you know, you can cover it with something if you like. You can make it into a pocket, whatever, you know, same with this side. So I'm not going to worry about the other sides at this point. Here's the other one that I did. And then lots more here. So I just got all of these different sizes. This one I actually sewed together, and I'm going to cut it in half and make like 2 pockets or something. All kinds of different ones. This one I only had enough of a napkin to just do that part, so I'll see what I want to do with that sometime. I just wanted to show you a couple of quick little things. One thing, these came out pretty wrinkly, not wrinkly, but they weren't flat. So one trick that I've used many times is if you have a mat like this, any sort of mat, I just take a few of these and I slip it. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but if you slip that underneath the mat, and then you just work away, it's not in your way. Sometimes I go back a couple of days later and I put something else in there and I realize I have something in there that I put a few days ago, and it's a nice surprise. So another thing you can do is if you have pads of scrapbook paper, which I do have on my shelf, sometimes I just stick them in between there. Of course, you can use heavy books and whatever as well. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, I showed you this on the last super simple video. And I just have this coffee here. It's a really strong coffee that I make just in a 1/2 pint jar. And I take a little makeup sponge thing, and I'm just going to coffee dye this side of the paper. So if you wanted, you know, to make it just white, you could keep it white. If you wanted to do it this way, then you can quickly coffee dye it. just like that basically, and you're done. You can coffee dye it a little bit. You can do a little bit more inside there if you like. Just reach in a bit. And like I did with my other ones, you can add a little bit just to splotches just to make it a little bit more splotchy. I don't think this will go through the other side. Maybe it will. Maybe that's fine. You can drip it a little bit. Whatever you like to do. And then when this dries, that will be a really neat envelope tuck for an envelope. So just wanted to share something super simple. See you in the next video.